Grab a pillow, because today we're going to be talking about squeezing. What's up, everyone? Tim Gillette here with Morningstar Jiu Jitsu Denver, and we're going to talk about squeezing today. Something you're going to use a lot in Jiu Jitsu is your squeeze muscles here, right? You're going to use it for choking, you're going to use it for leg attacks, things like that, or even just gripping and controlling someone. And we're going to focus mainly on kind of rear naked choke type squeezing today. And some ways that you can practice this at home is with a pillow. So what I like to do is use a pillow that's got a little bit of resistance to it. It's like a throw pillow, something with a little more like density to it. And we're going to work just on kind of getting our rear naked choke squeeze a little bit. We're going to start with the pillow. We're going to go on to some other things. So pillows are great when you're first starting out because they're soft. You can work on your choke. And they give you just enough resistance that's almost like squeezing a neck, right? So I'm going to wrap my arm around the pillow, grabbing around to my tricep if possible, and my hand is going to go behind the pillow, just like if I'm squeezing someone's neck, okay? And the reason I'm always reaching for that tricep instead of the bicep is because I want my wrist to be straight when I'm doing a choke. If I'm grabbing at that bicep, my wrist tends to bend back right there. So I like to try to reach to that tricep. So once I get into my choke position, my wrist is nice and straight. And I'm always putting the back of my hand to the back of the head, or the pillow in this case, and I can get my head tucked in, and we can start to work on our squeeze right here, okay? So when we're working on our squeeze, what we're really trying to do here is develop the ability to squeeze tighter, but also squeeze over a longer duration. That's what's really important in Jiu-Jitsu, I think, when you're trying to get a submission, is you need to be able to maintain that squeeze for a long time, 15, maybe even 20 seconds, right? The other thing that's important is being able to adjust your squeeze without having to adjust your grips. Meaning you can ramp up your squeeze and you can also ramp it down, right? You don't want to go 100% squeeze right away because you're not going to be able to sustain that over 10, 15 seconds, especially early on when you're first kind of learning how to squeeze. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that pillow, we're going to wrap it up, we're going to get our rear naked choke, and first I want you to try and squeeze it as hard as you can for as long as you can, right? So you're going to just squeeze and count down to 10 and see how long you can maintain that squeeze without feeling like your muscle starts to kind of get fatigued and release on its own. Then what I want you to do is actually try to ramp it up at 10% increments. So I'm going to count down from 10, and every time I count down a number, I'm going to increase my squeeze a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. If you find that you get to 6 and you're already at 100%, then that means you need to adjust your increments of squeeze there. So you're going to get here, you're going to tuck the head in, everything's correct. I'm just going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and maybe even got a little bit left there at the end. But that's how you're going to be able to sustain that squeeze over a longer period of time. And that's really what's important, right? And so the exercise that I recommend at home is to start with a pillow, get in that rear naked choke position, get your head tucked in, get everything in correct, start squeezing and ramping up that squeeze 10% increments till you get to 10, and then come back down. So you get to sustain that squeeze for 20 seconds, and you're ramping up and ramping down. So you're only at 100% for 1 second, right? So we go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. And you're going to just make that ramp up and down right there. And that's going to help you with your ability to squeeze tighter. It's also going to help you to be able to squeeze longer. And that's what's really important, okay? Now, doing the pillow is great. Once we're done with the pillow, now you want to be able to do it on something else, right? So I always recommend using the leg. So if you're somewhere where you don't have a pillow or you want to kind of step it up, now you can wrap first around the hamstring, come here, tuck in, and work that same squeeze. And this is nice because now you can really feel the squeeze, not just from your arm squeezing, but you can feel it getting tighter around your leg, right? So you can adjust that and do the same exercise. Ramp it up 10, then come down 10, right? So we can get here, tuck in, make sure your head position's correct, back of the hands forward, and we can get that squeeze and just keep ramping it up and then ramping it down right there, okay? Then, if you have the flexibility, I recommend bringing the heel up to the butt and choking the entire leg. And now what this does is it starts to introduce the sharp bone, and the bone is going to start kind of digging into your arm a little bit. You need to get used to that because people are going to be tucking their chin. They might have a hand inside. When you're going for leg locks, especially early on, sometimes you feel that shin or that bone digging into your arm, and you have to kind of develop the ability to kind of get used to that. So if you can wrap up around the shin and now squeeze, now you're going to feel that stiffer resistance of the bone, right? If you don't have the flexibility to get your leg up there, that's fine. Grab pretty much anything, honestly, that's an inanimate object. I don't recommend choking your dog or your kids, but I would recommend grabbing PVC pipe, anything like that. You know, foam rollers. Foam rollers are another really good one you can grab onto and start trying to squeeze. And eventually you want to work your way from something soft like the pillow all the way up to something that has a lot more resistance and is more firm, so that you can start to develop your arm to just be used to squeezing into something that's a little bit sharper or a little bit harder. And then switch sides. Make sure you're doing both sides, because choking and things like that, you definitely want to be able to have both sides pretty equal there. And maybe some people are good at choking on one side, but they'd rather do their leg locks on the other side. And so you want to develop that kind of squeeze on both sides. So this is something you can work on at home right now when you're not training, and develop that squeeze with your arms. So when you come back, you'll be able to get those taps a lot faster and get that squeeze a lot tighter. All right? Keep it up.